know it!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Around the Ring, episode 279. I am your co-host, Justin Hensley, and joined, as always, is my co-host, Steve Long. Steve, how's it going?
It's going well. It's going well. How have you been?
Not too bad. I played a little hooky at work today, from work today.
Oh, you probably shouldn't be announcing that on the air there. I guess probably none of your coworkers listen to this podcast.
No,
Hopefully
I don't really
not.
have any wrestling friends who work, so
Gotcha.
I'm fine. I told them
Well,
all anyway.
And I work remote, so I don't really have any friends at work either. So
Yeah. But yeah,
cats,
just a little
I
lazy
guess.
day, gray and rainy. So here
Yeah.
in North Carolina.
Yeah, we're just getting off of coming off the end of a little minor snowstorm here in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
I'm going to see a lot of that up in Michigan, but
yeah, things probably won't shut down much up there though.
Probably not. The roads will be cleaner though, because they actually have people that plow the roads there.
That's true. Yeah, it's got the infrastructure in place for that type of weather.
Yeah. So we got some wrestling to talk about this week.
Yeah, just a little bit.
And we have some headlines to talk about. No top 5 this week, but hopefully we can get some suggestions from you on our Twitter on what kind of top 5 list you would like to see. So if you're listening and you follow us on Twitter, or if you don't follow us on Twitter, you can find us, of course, on Around the Ring OK. And let us know if you have any suggestions for our top 5.
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of exhausted a lot of our ideas, and we didn't really think about one before today's recording. So if you have any suggestions, we'll always take them. And even if you just have questions that you want us to read on the show and talk about those, feel free to send those along as well.
Definitely. Let's see. So get things out of the way here. We are part of the Red 5 Podcast Network. Really great podcast to check out over there. Red5network.com, or just find Red 5 Network on Twitter if you do the Twitter thing. And you'll see all of the great, outstanding podcasts that are available to you on the Red 5 Network. What else? What's been going on with Punkalotto? What's going on Punkalotto this week?
Let's see. Let's go chronological. So we just posted an episode on the Reverend Horton Heat's first record, Smoke 'em If You Got 'em. And then we followed that up with a new thing I'm trying over on our Patreon. It's patreon.com/punklautopod. And I'm doing a 5 to 10 minute weekly audio where I discuss the records that came out that week. I really liked the first episode, how it came out, and I'm hoping to do some more of that going forward. And then on the main episode this week, we are doing My Bloody Valentine's Day, where we talk about a shoegaze record to correspond with the Valentine's season. And we are talking about Lush's Spooky. So
Cool.
lots of stuff going on over there. What do you got going on with Rogue One?
Well, before I get into that, I did want to say, just mention that I did like the idea of that Patreon episode that you did. I enjoyed that. Just getting another perspective of new music that's come out that week, because often I don't get enough time to peruse all the Bandcamp. And I mean, really, I pull up Spotify on Friday morning and check out the release radar. And although that does give me some stuff to listen to, it can be very limiting.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's always good to have ideas for new music. So let's see, Road Going Radio. Last week we did our episode about chapter. I want to say 5. I think that's right. I think chapter 5 of. Yeah, chapter 5 of the Book of Boba Fett is what we did last week. Tomorrow we will be doing another live episode on, of course, chapter 6 of the Book of Boba Fett, and chapter 6 is actually the season finale. So that'll be, I'm sure we'll have a lot to. No. I'm sorry. That's wrong. Chapter 7 is the last episode, and that will be airing on February 9th. But chapter 6 is what we'll be talking about tomorrow night, and that will be covering the episode From the Desert Comes a Stranger, and that was a really good episode. Other than that, today, Monday, February 7th, which is when we're recording this, is actually Star Wars Podcast Day. So in addition to the live episode we're doing tomorrow night, we actually pre-recorded an episode over the weekend that dropped today in celebration of Star Wars Podcast Day. And if you've never heard of that, which I actually didn't know about it until last year, it's a celebration they do every year on February 7th to commemorate the very first Star Wars podcast. The Star Wars podcast, the very first one, premiered on February 7th, 1999. Which is interesting because I was saying earlier, I didn't even know podcasts were around then. But I mean, yeah, they probably weren't called podcasts, but I guess the idea of it. Yeah. So that was pretty interesting. And then, so the people who put the whole Star Wars Podcast Day together reached out to us and asked if we would do a special episode for it. So we did. And we talked about Spaceballs. So, yeah, we figured everybody out there is going to be doing a special Star Wars episode. So we're just going to talk about Spaceballs.
It makes sense. Be a little different.
Yeah. Other than that, Dave didn't drop a new episode of One Band Five Songs this week. But last week he dropped the Beastie Boys episode.
Yeah, and I mean, knowing him
as we were recording this,
so he very well might drop one today as we're recording this as well. But
he might. But that was a really good episode, so be sure you check that out. One Band Five Songs on Spotify. All right, on to the wrestling.
Yeah, it was kind of a light week for really wrestling, which is funny because last week was not quite as light, but
no.
There were a couple news pieces, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, outside of a few matches, as far as AEW goes, it was kind of a mediocre week. Outside of a few matches, there were a couple
right
outstanding ones, but yeah. But yeah, let's see what we got in the headlines here.
Sure. Let's start with, we have the next inductee into the Ring of Honor Hall of Fame. And it was announced that Bryan Danielson will be going in, which obvious choice, of course.
Yeah, that didn't surprise me too much. I mean, he was basically one of the founders.
Yeah, I mean, he was on the very first show. I think he was the main evented. I think he main evented the first show. He was in a 3-way with Christopher Daniels and Low-Key. And I wouldn't be surprised if Christopher Daniels winds up being inducted in this first round as well.
For sure. I mean, he had the world title for a long time, didn't he?
Oh yeah. He held it for, it's actually in this article, for 462 days.
Oh wow!
Is the third longest world championship reign in ROH. Wow, 462 days, and it's still the third longest reign.
Wow. Yeah.
I think Jay Lethal holds one of those other ones above him, and I'm not sure who the other would be, though.
I'm pulling up the article, and this looks interesting. It's talking about a career retrospective. Will be featured on this weekend's episode of Ring of Honor Wrestling Television.
Yeah, I kind of want to watch that. Ring of Honor TV, I
Yeah.
believe you can watch on Fight TV, and the YouTube channel as well. So,
Yeah, I think I might actually get it on Sling too.
yeah, so that one might be worth
Maybe.
watching. They did one on the Briscoes. I guess I should check that one out too. See
Yeah.
how that one goes. But yeah, they've been doing some interesting kind of just like focuses on not much. They don't have any wrestling to show since they're on their current hiatus, but they've been kind of utilizing their library and talking about people in the past or currently with the company.
So I guess there's going to be 2 more inductees,
Hmm.
and they will be announced on the 14th and the 21st of February. And that class, if that's what you want to call it, will be part of a special Hall of Fame episode of Ring of Honor Wrestling on March 5th. Or it says the weekend of March 5th. So,
yeah, Ring of Honor is weird because it's a syndicated show, so it doesn't necessarily appear the same time and day on every network that it airs.
Yeah. Huh, no, that'll be cool. I'll be sure to watch that Bryan Danielson, at least one of the specials, because it looks like there's a YouTube one too.
Yeah.
Or is that going to be the same thing?
I think it's the same thing. Yeah.
Probably the same thing.
Yeah.
In any case, I will watch that. Maybe maybe that'll be something we can talk about next week.
Yeah, that could be
interesting. Cool. We've got another signing to Impact Wrestling.
We do,
and it will be the Laredo Kid.
Yeah, Laredo Kid, who is known for his work in AAA primarily, but he has had some AEW connections. He was part of that trios match with the Lucha Brothers against the Young Bucks, and was that Kenny Omega? Maybe, I'm not entirely sure. That was a while.
Might have been.
I think it may have been, but that was pretty early on too. Yeah, he signed to Impact Wrestling, which is kind of an interesting place for him to go. He's definitely one of the more exciting luchadors. I do find it interesting though that like AEW has a couple luchadors, but it's primarily just the Lucha Brothers that get a lot of attention, and then like guys like Fuego del Sol and who was the other one? Like it's Serpentico, who are just like kind of like basically jobbers. I would like to see them kind of. I guess Andrade's there; he still counts as a luchador too. But I don't know. I would like to see them bring in some more luchadors. There are plenty out there that they could work with.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But I'm interested to see what he'll do over there. I'm sure he'll be spending most of his time in the X division.
Yeah, I think he said in some interview that he wants to go for the X Division Championship, which perfect. That's kind of where the work rate is in Impact.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. I don't really watch Impact though, unfortunately. I don't know. I never really connected with them.
Yeah, I would watch them and do generally watch them before watching any of the E. Because I don't know. I think Impact's a little bit more enjoyable. The production quality isn't as, and I use this term loosely, good as WWE. Because I watched Raw a couple of weeks ago, the Raw that came out before Royal Rumble, and then of course we watched the Royal Rumble, and I mean the production quality is very, very. It's very high class production. It's a very high class production. I'm not really, 100% convinced that that's a good thing. Because it just, like I was telling you when we were watching, I was like, why is everything so bright?
Yeah.
and it kind of distracted me a lot in a lot of ways. So the lower class productions usually tend to be more entertaining.
Well, would you say that's what Impact does is necessarily a lower quality production? Or do you...
I would say lower quality than WWE for sure. I'm not saying lower quality to throw shade at them. I'm just saying how things are recorded are not necessarily on the same level that WWE records theirs.
And I don't know that it's, I don't know if I would describe it as like, I don't know. You get into like some weird like technical differences because, you know, a lot of how each show looks is dependent on the type of cameras that they use and, you know, all that, that kind of stuff. Lighting also plays a very different effect on how it looks on camera. So it's hard to say that like AEW's production is lower quality than WWE's, but maybe it's more
lower
of a style.
Quality. Yeah, maybe lower quality isn't the right phrasing.
Glossy?
Less glossy. There you go.
Which that can be a choice more than a...
Yeah.
I do like the way like AEW looks compared to WWE.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. I like the way that they film better than WWE, and to further what I was getting at, I actually like the way that Impact films better than WWE.
Yeah, Impact has a unique look. My main issue with Impact has just really been that kind of twofold. One is the booking has never been something that I've been like wholly satisfied with, and second, I would say that the work rate in the ring, while it's full of incredibly talented wrestlers, never really reaches that next level that a lot of honestly a lot of WWE matches do, AEW, New Japan. So like I don't know how much of that is this like people working there like, well, I'm not gonna kill myself because it is just Impact. I don't know.
I mean, I find myself wanting to watch more Impact, but I just don't get around to it. Yeah. I mean, what would you say, like, if you were in charge, I guess, how would you make Impact better?
I don't know. Like, I don't know what is missing in that company. I know, like, in the past, it's definitely been the booking was the issue, but I don't know. Like, they have these wrestlers who do great work, but for some reason, they don't really show it in Impact as much as they do in other companies I've seen them work for. So I don't know if it's just the producer standpoint, like who's laying out matches in the back with them, which I did see an article this week that said Lance Storm is now going to be working as a producer with them with Impact. So maybe that might change. I don't know. It's tough. There's like this weird intangibility to Impact that I don't enjoy that I can't put a finger on. But yeah, it just never felt like it was as good as it could be or should be.
Yeah.
I guess any major changes I would make, I don't know. Some of the booking's a little goofy. Like, I don't think I would have gone with Moose as hard as they have.
He's been with that company a while, though. I think he was at a point where maybe they thought he'd paid his dues, and
yeah. I don't know. But in the past, they've had people like the Lucha Brothers, and they didn't really use them to their fullest extent either. I don't know.
So would you say Impact is better now or better back in the mid 2000s when it was still TNA under Dixie?
I'd say as overall, it's probably better now. It's better run. it's a little bit. It's like a tighter ship. Like it's definitely just kind of.
Yeah.
I don't know. But at the same time, that like mid to late 2000s TNA was considered kind of their golden era, where they had guys like AJ Styles and Samoa Joe who were putting on some of the best matches in that company's history, like Kurt Angle being there.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, because I started watching and got to know a lot of those people through TNA, like the couple that you mentioned, AJ Styles. I did not know prior to watching TNA. Samoa Joe. See, now I did not. I did not watch ECW back when it was new. I guess so I didn't know who the Dudley Boys were, but oh man, I can't remember what his name was in TNA, but he had a pretty strong stable behind him.
Bully Ray.
Bully Ray, yeah, he had
the Aces and Eights.
That's right, Aces and Eights, yeah. So that was big. I remember Hulk Hogan and Sting being on there.
Which I think TNA Impact kind of suffered from having too many of those old school, like, politicking, that's not going to work for me, brother type, you know, wrestlers.
But they had some good shows. I mean, Nick Aldis was on there. Of course, he went by Magnus.
Mm-hmm.
No, they had some really good shows. So, I mean, I guess if I were to say, I would think it was better then.
Yeah.
So maybe part of me watching it or wanting to watch it now is more nostalgia. But I mean, there still are some names on Impact's roster that I wouldn't. I mean, that make me, want to watch it. I just don't get around to. I mean, I like. Well, I mean, Matt Cardona is kind of part of the promotion, but not really. But Josh Alexander is really good.
Yeah.
I like Eddie Edwards.
See, I've never connected with Eddie Edwards.
No, you probably also did not connect with Sami Callihan.
No, I do not.
But I like those two guys. Willie Mack, I like Willie Mack.
They have, like I said, like Impact has good wrestlers, has never been Impact's problem. Like I was looking at the most recent show, it's like Jonah, Jonathan Gresham, Josh Alexander, Masha Slamovich, Chris Bay, Jay White. Like these are great wrestlers, but
and they've also got a pretty decent women's division.
Yeah, their women's division is probably their strongest suit, and even historically, I think the women's division, kind of showcased women wrestlers in a better light earlier than even WWE did. So I'd say the women's division should maybe be the thing they kind of, which I think they do, showcase and emphasize, because it's like they do have probably the best booked women's division. I would say WWE probably has the best women's talent.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But they've got, but Impact has some really talented folks on there. They've got Deonna Purrazzo. They've got Jordan Grace.
Mickey James.
Mickey James. They've got Lady Frost. That's a fairly new signing, which if you haven't seen a match of hers, you really are doing yourself a disservice by not watching one, because she's really good. And so I don't know. I will probably, I think I need to try to get back in the habit of watching and see if I can stay glued. But I haven't watched in a few weeks, but But anyway, rabbit trail
Little,
there. Laredo
little
Kid is with Impact Wrestling, and I think that's going to be a very interesting addition to their X division. And geez, we talked about that one headline for like 10 minutes. Anyway, what else do we got on headlines?
So there was a story that came out this week. This is just a little feel good story. Mia Yim and Keith Lee just got married this past weekend. It's been almost a year since they got engaged.
Oh, cool.
In the time they've been engaged, they both got released by the WWE. Keith Lee had COVID in that time period. It's just like not necessarily been the best period in their lives.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just nice to see, they're kind of a wrestling couple that has been around for a little bit. And apparently as of last week, their 90-day no-compete clause just expired. So.
Okay. I was about to say neither one of them have gotten signed by anybody. And I forgot about the 90-day thing.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll get one or both of them with some signing announcements soon.
I think everyone should be scrambling to get both of them because they're both really incredible. And if you can get both of them on your roster, I mean that's a smart move there.
I've actually never seen Mia Yim.
She's really good as well. Yeah, I saw a lot of her NXT work. And she was good.
But yeah, I have seen some Keith Lee, and I'd really like to see him somewhere.
Which might tie into our next article here.
Could be. So Tony Khan has a major announcement on this Wednesday's Dynamite.
Yeah. So
a top wrestler will walk through the forbidden door is the headline.
Yeah. And
make their debut. Huh.
Yeah. There's also going to be a Face of the Revolution qualifying match too. So I think this article is not very clear, and maybe Tony himself hasn't been very clear. The way it reads, it sounds like two people are debuting. I don't think that's the case. I think it's whoever this talent coming through the forbidden door is going to be in that match.
Mm-hmm. I think you're right.
Any ideas who it could be? I mean, I think Keith Lee is probably the number one that I would bet on showing up.
So are you asking who I want it to be or who I think it will be?
Well, do both.
Because it could end up being both of those, right? Now, let's see, where is Dynamite being taped from?
Not sure. Let's see if that article says
Dynamite, because last week was Chicago.
Yeah. No premieres in Chicago. I was surprised.
No, none in Chicago.
Atlantic City, New Jersey.
Okay, well. Okay. So there's actually two that I would like to see.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, technically, I guess three, but one of them is more likely. So the one that I think is more likely for it to actually be is who we just talked about.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be Keith Lee. Now, who do I want to see? I would like it to be either Johnny Gargano or Jeff Hardy.
So I think there is a lot of suspicion that it's going to be Jeff Hardy because apparently Matt Hardy's been kind of tweeting some stuff, and the Young Bucks changed their bio to kind of reference the Hardys. They've done it in the past where they've teased something and it was a red herring. I do worry that if it is Jeff Hardy, it might get the Christian reaction. Because the way they have really hyped this signing, I would love to see him there for sure. I love Jeff Hardy. He's one of my all-time favorite wrestlers, but I don't know that people are going to go as crazy for him showing up as someone like Keith Lee or Johnny Gargano.
You don't think so?
No, I don't.
I don't know, man. I think that AEW crowd is going to pop hard for Jeff. Not to say that they wouldn't pop hard for Keith Lee.
I think they'd pop harder for Keith Lee than Jeff.
I don't know, man. There's a lot of history behind Jeff.
I think part of that is Matt. I'm not going to say Matt's worn out his welcome in AEW, but Matt doesn't feel special in AEW anymore because he's mainly because of the Hardy Family Office thing, just because it goes on and doesn't really do anything for anybody.
So here's what I think. I think if Jeff Hardy comes on, the Hardy Family Office, for all intents and purposes, is going to go away.
I don't know if that's true though. This Andrade story is clearly leading to a Darby situation.
I think that Andrade is going to somehow take it all away from Hardy.
It's possible.
And there's going to be a Jeff and Matt angle beginning. We'll see. I mean, we'll find out on Wednesday.
A little speculation. I mean,
if it ends up being Keith Lee, that's great.
I think Keith Lee also solves a problem that AEW has had. One of the biggest criticisms that AEW has received lately is that the main event scene has not really featured much black talent. And Keith Lee would be someone who would, the second he comes in, can be put in that upper level of the roster. So he would help that issue a lot, on top of being an incredible wrestler himself. God, his matches are so much fun to watch.
Could you imagine him versus Brody King?
Who?
Keith Lee and Brody.
Brody King. Brody. Yeah. I thought you said Bernie King for a minute, and I was like, what?
Who's that? No. Brody King.
Oh, yeah. That would be great. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, there are so many wrestlers out there who are not signed, who are in there. A lot of those 90 days just ran out. I don't know. It could be anyone, really. I don't know. The emphasis on this Forbidden Door aspect of it, the two that make the most sense would be Jeff and Keith Lee, because of the way Jeff left the company, and then the way like Keith Lee was handled in the company towards the end. So I don't know. We'll see. The way, like I said, the way this article is written, if you go to the bottom of it, this is from the Wrestling Observer. It says that everything has been announced for the debut show in Atlantic City. We have the Lance Archer versus Hangman Adam Page match. MJF will make his appearance after CM Punk. The Face of the Revolution qualifying match, Isaiah Cassidy versus a top wrestler debuting. And then Tony Khan major announcement. So this article lists both separately. I think it's meant to be one announcement, and he'll be in the match. So I don't know. We'll see this week, I guess. But exciting reason to tune in, probably live or close to it.
Yeah, definitely. This week I watched Dynamite, probably the closest to live I have in a long time.
Yeah. And one last.
We've got another news story.
One last news story. This one's just weird. So Shane McMahon is out of the WWE. He is no longer booked for future shows. He was scheduled to appear at Elimination Chamber and WrestleMania. And this comes right after the Royal Rumble. And I've heard so many different stories about this. I don't know how much of them are actually true, but it very much seems like Shane apparently has been in charge of the Royal Rumble since he's come back. Like, that's the thing that he has booked. And for some reason on this one, he just kept making changes that a lot of the people backstage weren't happy with a lot of the wrestlers weren't happy with, and obviously the fans weren't happy with it either, because that was one of the most negatively reviewed Royal Rumbles. So I don't know how much of this is just them going, well, we need a scapegoat, let's get rid of Shane, or if it really was just like Shane kind of messed up. I don't know. Very weird story.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess, I mean, that would definitely be a good. He would definitely make a good scapegoat if he was really as in charge of the Rumble as people are making it out to be.
Yeah. The one theory is that he pitched one thing to Vince McMahon and then changed it later. And I could see Vince being very upset with that. I don't know. Like there was these stories that like he was set to wrestle Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. And I don't want to see Shane McMahon wrestle.
No,
he's not a wrestler.
That's kind of played out.
Yeah. I think a lot of the concern too was around the Bad Bunny's role in the Rumble, and like he was placed very high and he did very well, which no insult to Bad Bunny. I think he did a really great job and he takes it very seriously. But ultimately he's not a full-time wrestler. He's not signed to the company. So I don't know. I think he should have entered in a little lower and maybe not been so close to the end, but I don't know. Shane is, I don't know. It's very weird. I'm curious to see if we'll get like a tell-all from Shane. I assume Shane probably still has some role to play in like the board of executives and along those lines. Yeah. He's just no longer involved creatively now or in-ring talent-wise. So,
right.
Yeah. Yeah. Very, very bizarre story.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's could Shane McMahon be the one to come through the forbidden door?
Gosh,
I don't think so. There's a really fun fan theory of people saying Triple H is the one who's coming through the forbidden door. Like he's not doing that.
that would be pretty funny. I mean, they kind of
I don't think
ruined his baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. All right. I think that was all of the headlines we had for today. Yeah. I think you were gonna talk a little Azteca.
Yeah, so I think I've mentioned it on the show before, but I've been recently watching MLW Azteca. So MLW went back to their YouTube show. They did Fusion was the last show they were doing, but then they announced this Azteca series of shows, which I believe they were filmed in Tijuana, Mexico. It was kind of a co-production with The Crash, which is an independent lucha libre promotion in Tijuana. And it utilized a lot of AAA talent on the show. So there have been, let's see how many episodes there were. I think there were 5 episodes of the show. Yeah. And they're all on YouTube. They're all free on YouTube. There's been 5 episodes so far. I think there's another one coming next week, or maybe this week it's happening.
How long is each episode?
Only an hour. Very short.
Okay.
It's very digestible, rampage sort of paced show.
Yeah.
So one of the really cool things that MLW does is they've been using a character named Cesar Duran, who will be familiar to people if you watched Lucha Underground. Dario Cueto was his name on that show. And MLW has taken up the spiritual successor sequel to Lucha Underground with Azteca series. And the idea is that he is bringing in super luchas to come and wrestle the MLW talent.
Okay.
And it's a lot of people that, like, if you watch AAA, you're familiar with. Aramis, Erez, Psycho Clown, Pagano, like these names. King Muertes, who was a big role in Lucha Underground. There've been a couple episodes. The main story thread between all the episodes is Alexander Hammerstone and Richard Holliday's kind of relationship as they fight off a lot of these luchadors at Cesar Duran's kind of direction. There's been some really good matches, though. Like the very first episode has a great trios match. Arami, Black Destiny, and Mysterious Jr. against Arez, Dinamico, and Scalibur. That match ended with just money being thrown in the crowd by the audience, which is always a sign of respect. And then, yeah, it's been kind of fun. They do a little bit of everything, little lucha style, a little bit of more traditional wrestling, and then like even hardcore matches. Like Savio Vega wrestled Pagano in a hardcore match.
Were there any women's matches?
Unfortunately, I don't think that there were. It looks like everything was just the male luchadors. I don't know. They didn't bring a ton of talent with them from MLW. There's just a handful of people.
Okay.
So I don't know if that played into a part of it.
Yeah, I was just wondering if maybe Selena would have been on it, or yeah, I can't remember the other girl's name that I'm thinking of that's in MLW.
No, yeah, it's I'd say some of the highlights. Actually, I'd say probably the best match out of all the shows was on episode 4, and it was El Hijo del Vikingo against Arami for the AAA Mega title. Vikingo is one of the best luchadors on the planet, and we watched one of his matches in AAA last year, and he's just such a good wrestler. There's so many moments in that match that are just like, I can't believe this guy is doing this. But yeah, it's just a good presented short show that kind of, if you like Lucha Libre, it's a good show to watch. If you don't want to try and hunt down AAA on Twitch, or if you don't want to watch CMLL on YouTube, which honestly CMLL has been kind of a drag lately. But and then it has a little bit of that little Impact sort of vibe. The MLW kind of shoot style is in there as well.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's a very easy show to watch, and it's full of a lot of really good wrestlers. And the production is lower quality. It's not necessarily got the biggest budget, but it's well done for what they have. It looks better than something like our Ring of Honor. That's how I think of it. But yeah. MLW's fun. Easy watch.
Yeah, I may have to check that out.
They're actually going to be in my area very soon, but I also think I'm going to a show that same day. So unfortunately, I won't be able to go to that one.
What show are you going to?
I am going to try and go see Super Chunk in later this month. So I think that show is the same night as the MLW show. It's like a super fight show.
Oh yeah,
where Ricky Steamboat's going to be there as well too, which is cool. But,
oh wow, oh
yeah, but unfortunately, have plans already.
Cool. Yeah, I'll have to check out Azteca, and yeah, probably don't need to talk about it again, but I don't know. Yeah, just check it out if I got any free time this week. All right, well, on to Dynamite.
Yeah,
start off there. Okay. Other than the obvious, were there any matches on Dynamite that you wanted to talk about specifically?
Yeah, I'd say there were a couple. I mean, there weren't that many. There were only 4 matches on the whole show, so I don't see a real reason to skip anything. I think there's a couple promos worth talking about too.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so Dynamite started off with John Moxley versus Willer Yuta.
Mm-hmm.
This was an odd pairing.
Well, it was a last-minute pairing too.
Yeah. It was supposed to be Brian Kendrick.
Yeah.
And I guess Tony Khan gave him the axe.
Yeah, it was a strange little, like, Brian Kendrick was released from the WWE as like a producer.
Right.
Signed a match with AEW and then got kicked off of that match all within a 24-hour time period. Very strange. You know, Kendrick's past comments came to light, and it was not something that AEW felt like, or Tony Khan especially felt like he should allow, you know, him to be on the show. Brian Kendrick has since made a statement, but I think he needs to take a little time and reflect, and maybe, you know, do some public works to apologize for his pretty rough comments.
Yeah.
So Wheeler Yuta was a last-minute replacement. But
yeah, so that was kind of odd. Yeah, I don't know. It just seemed like a very odd pairing, and while it's, you know, always good to see Moxley back and healthy and in a match, I think I don't know. I like Will Yuta. I don't want to throw any bad remarks toward him. I do like him. I just don't think he. I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I don't think he was ready for somebody like Moxley. I don't know.
Well, it was a rematch too from the tournament that they did, the World Title Eliminator Tournament.
Yeah.
So it was. Whenever this match started, my first thought was, oh, I hope this isn't the continuation of that heel direction they were going with Moxley. Because I don't think now, I mean, I know he probably wants to play a heel, but now is not the time to do it, because nobody's going to be booing John Moxley right now. So it'll kind of backfire. But after the match, I think what happened with Bryan Danielson coming out and extending an offer to John Moxley to join him, and they can help, you know, basically train the next generation of wrestlers in AEW. The comments that he was making, he specifically brought up Wheeler Yuta as a wrestler they could take away from the Best Friends and train and, you know, make better. So Yuta to me has always felt kind of like weird that he was involved in the Best Friends, because he's not as weird as the rest of the Best Friends.
Yeah.
So I don't really know what his role in the group was meant to be. But
I don't know. Just as a placeholder until Trent came back.
Yeah, maybe. Could be just, numbers for the Best Friends. I mean, he's a good wrestler, and I have seen him do, because he wrestles in New Japan under like the strong stuff, and I've seen him here. I think he wrestles in like Beyond Wrestling. Like, he's one of those guys that he's like a Daniel Garcia, where he goes everywhere to work. And Daniel Garcia was also another name that Bryan Danielson mentioned as like someone that they could take under their wing. The story could go two ways. I mean, I think it's very clearly just leading to a match between Bryan Danielson and Moxley.
I would agree. I gotta say, when I heard this promo, it was a good promo. Good.
Yeah.
Bryan Danielson does some good promo work anyway. But the conversation that he was having with Moxley felt very familiar in AEW. It sounded almost, not word for word, but almost identical to a conversation that Moxley had with Jericho a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that was during that time period where Jericho was trying to get Moxley to join the Inner Circle.
Right.
So, yeah.
So it felt very familiar.
Yeah, I could see that. I did think of that too whenever that was happening. But I also think that their approaches are different. What Jericho would have wanted Moxley for versus what Bryan would want him for are very different end goals.
I agree. It just felt familiar. It was definitely not a word for word scripted version of what Jericho did. It just felt very, haven't we seen this before? But
I thought it was a great promo. Like, I really loved the idea of Bryan kind of running down some of the talent.
Yeah.
Calling out the millennial cowboy should not be AEW champion. Someone dressed as a dinosaur should not be tag team champions.
That was funny.
Sammy Guevara's vlog, he should not be TNT champion. And poking fun at Orange Cassidy and Danhausen, and which, by the way, they just signed Danhausen and he really hasn't done anything. And I think they need to.
Yeah. Well, he's only.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, I was just going to say, this is only his second episode.
Yeah, but I also think that they need to quickly show people why they signed Danhausen, because I would say I don't even know that half of AEW's audience is familiar with him. So I think you kind of got to be like, here's why we signed this guy real quick, just so we kind of get an idea.
Yeah, you're probably right. I think they need to do something with him. Maybe either Wednesday night or the next Rampage.
Yeah, I don't know if he's 100% healed. I know he had an injury in his ankle.
But
he could let him cut some promos or do some video packages, But he really hasn't done much with any of his catchphrases or anything on the show.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, what do you think of the idea? If they were to go in the other direction and Moxley does team up with Bryan, what do you think of that idea?
I don't know if it's really going to do much for storytelling.
I really like the idea of them taking the types of wrestlers that he mentioned specifically and kind of showing them the way. I do really like that idea, but I also think Bryan can do that on his own. He doesn't need Moxley to take Daniel Garcia away from 2.0, or to get Lee Moriarty and just train them.
Yeah, I wonder if he's, as far as the story goes, I wonder if he's doing that just so he doesn't have to fight Moxley.
Yeah, there's always that. There is always the possibility that he. But I don't know. We've seen that Bryan wants to fight. That's kind of his thing. But no, then in those matches with Hangman, he did that stalling tactic, and I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm happy to see where this goes. I think we're gonna get a match out of it. So
yeah,
I think it'll be fun. But after that match.
Let's see. After that match, we had the promo, and then
it was the Brandy Rhodes and Dan Lambert.
No. That was after the. I think that was after the next match.
No. I'm
sure?
looking at it. Yeah, I'm looking at the AEW recap page. It was the Dan Lambert Brandy segment was right after the Danielson segment.
Huh. See, and I thought that was after the next match. I guess I don't know.
No, Lambert comes back later in the show.
That might be why I'm thinking that.
And I was very annoyed that we had Lambert on the show twice. I don't know. I was not a fan of this Brandy Rhodes segment. I didn't. The only thing of note is the Paige Van Zandt.
Yeah,
pull apart.
I didn't even care about that, but yeah, I wasn't gonna say much about this because I didn't care.
Yeah, I felt like it took up such a big chunk of the show that it is worth talking about. But yeah, I mean, I hope that we get Josh Alexander out of this. I mean, I don't know.
That'd be interesting.
But yeah, I'm not a fan of Dan Lambert, and wasn't really a fan of the audience yelling at a woman to shut up. But Brandy kind of brings that out of crowd, so weirdly. But
yeah.
After that is the tag team match, which I think is what you were thinking of.
Yeah, the kind of the Death Triangle versus the Knights of the Black Throne.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I was noticing is that the match was fine. The thing that kept distracting me is that one of the commentators was getting the tag team name wrong. Like one would be saying Knights of the Black Throne, and another one would be saying Kings of the Black Throne, and I'm like, well, which one is it?
Oh yeah.
What's supposed to be the real name? So I mean, that's just part of my, I don't know, probably part of my ADD or my OCD. It was just distracting to me that they kept like every time they brought it up, I'd be like, wait. There's a match going on.
I didn't notice that at all. But I do remember that when they did appear, I believe Excalibur called them Kings of the Black Throne. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's supposed to be.
So yeah. And Bleacher Report lists it as Knights of the Black Throne.
So does the AEW website. So
yeah,
it's probably supposed to be Knights. It may have been a last-minute change.
I don't know. It was just very distracting to me.
Pat came to the ring wearing a blindfold, and unfortunately, it was only like a minute or two into the match that he took the blindfold off and revealed that he could see. But I wanted more. I wanted more blind wrestling.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, so I'm in there, and we're having this game. This happened on February 2nd, which was my birthday. So we were kind of all sitting around, and that was kind of our. I don't know if you really want to call that a party, but it was part of our get together. We were just sitting around watching wrestling. But I remember saying to my wife, I was like, "This would have been a lot cooler if he'd have just kept the blindfold on the whole match." But yeah, exactly. I think he took it off way too soon.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they wanted to go for a realism thing, but I think what you could have done though,
fine without it.
I think what they could have done was he had it on for the whole match, and then at the very end he takes it off, revealing, oh, he could see the whole time. He could see through that little bandage he had across his eyes. But
that would have been a lot better.
Yeah, I thought the match was good. I thought everybody in that ring had a cool factor to them. That the crowds just love these guys. Like, I love all four of these guys. They're great. I mean, the Knights of the Black Throne won the match, which I think is the right move to make. I honestly would have given them a little more time to have a little longer of a match, but I hope we do get. I hope we get Pac versus Malachi Black, or even Pac versus Brody King in a singles match soon. I think that would be a really good match. Penta just got hit in the face with the black mist, so we'll see how long Penta's blind now.
Yeah. So yeah, after that was the well, wait a minute. So was Hangman next, or was the match next? There was a match between Ruby Soho and Nyla Rose.
Yeah, the match was next. It was the Native Beast Nyla Rose versus Ruby Soho, which was a rematch of their TBS title tournament.
Yeah.
The match was fine. I thought the cool thing about it was Lars Fredrickson of Rancid was at ringside.
Yeah, that was the highlight of the match for me. I gotta be honest, I was not impressed with the match really at all.
It was fine. I wasn't like, what a bad match, or thrilled by the match either, but it was fine. It was kind of I guess it was a heatless match. Like there just wasn't much that I was like,
I'm excited. It was just kind of there.
Yeah.
But yeah, then after that, Hangman came out and talked, and he wanted to fight.
Yeah, he wanted to fight now.
Yeah, he was ready to fight, and then that's when your favorite guy comes out. Yeah, I think that was my same sentiment. Was the not again.
It's especially annoying because Jake the Snake is right there. Like, what? He doesn't need two managers.
Yeah. Does he? And okay, anytime that I've seen Archer, he hasn't been CM Punk on the mic, but he also hasn't been Brock Lesnar on the mic. He's decent on the mic. Why does he need anybody talking for him?
That's true. He is one of those guys that probably doesn't need a manager.
Yeah, it's almost like, I hate to say it, but it's almost like they just shoehorned Roberts in there just to give him something to do.
Yeah, I mean, and that pairing started back, during the Empty Arena time period. So maybe it was just a matter of, I don't know. Lance Archer can talk. Like, that's the thing. I mean, I guess there is something to a pairing of a wrestler and a manager who can talk. Honestly, I think Lance could probably talk better than Jake the Snake can now.
I didn't want to say it, but I'm glad you did.
No disrespect to Jake the Snake,
I don't want to be disrespectful to Jake the Snake Roberts, but he's not the most amazing guy on the mic. No. But yeah, so Dan Lambert and Jake Snake comes out, and Archer comes out, and then takes Adam Page and gives him the blackout through the timekeeper table. And so that was an interesting little build up to the Texas Death Match that's coming up. And then there was a little short segment with Jericho calling for a meeting on this week's Dynamite.
Yeah,
an inner circle team meeting. Whatever. But yeah. Okay. Yeah. We know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I genuinely hope Santana and Ortiz step away from Jericho.
Yeah, I think it puts them in a better position to be in the title picture.
Yeah. Pairing them up with Eddie Kingston also makes a lot of sense because there is their history there. Like, they know each other very well and they worked with each other in Impact. But I mean, and it gives them something a little bit different to do. Yeah, I want them away from the inner circle because honestly,
I want to see. Yeah,
I mean,
I want to see them with a bigger push.
Yeah, I think the inner circle should just go ahead and dissolve at this point, or not fully dissolve, but just be like done. Like it's not.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it. Like, Jake Hager hasn't been around, and Sammy's been off doing his TNT stuff. So, yeah, that's fine.
So our main event, long awaited, built up quite a bit.
Yeah,
we've been waiting for it. Main reason I was watching this week's, I mean, not that I wouldn't have been watching anyway, but this is definitely a match that I was looking forward to. Of course, we're talking about CM Punk versus MJF.
Were you surprised?
Overall,
I was going to say, were you surprised when they came out? At what time they came out?
For the main event?
Yeah. So like they came out at like 9:15. And when they came out, I was like, oh, it's going to be a long one.
Yeah. No, I wasn't terribly surprised. I knew that this was not going to be an easily won. I didn't think it was going to be a quick match at all.
No, and it shouldn't have been.
I will, however, point out, and we'll get to that when we're done talking about the match ultimately, but I did call it.
Oh, okay.
Last week on our show, I did call it. I said that MJ was going to win by nefarious means.
Oh yeah. I knew that was going to happen. Yeah,
I was no big surprise there. But okay, overall, let's just talk overall. What did you think of the match?
I thought it was excellent. I thought it was amazing. It was just from top to bottom, just a great match, laid out just perfectly with lots of surprises. Like there was a lot in this match that I did not see coming, like the way it happened. And overall, it's definitely going to be match of the year contender.
Yeah, I would say this is probably the best match that I have seen either one of them in AEW.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely the best match I've ever seen MJF in, but quite possibly the best match that CM Punk has done since he's been in AEW. I mean, he was pulling off some stuff that it was just like, whoa. I mean, there was a move in particular that he did off of the top rope.
Yeah,
that was just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he just pulled that off.
It was the Pepsi plunge, which is apparently a move he has not done in 17 years.
Yeah, I was going to say, I definitely haven't seen him do it in AEW.
Well, he didn't even apparently never did it in the WWE either. That was like a Ring of Honor move that he never did in the WWE. So that's why it made it even more like, whoa.
So we essentially got 2 matches out of this.
That's what I was thinking. I was going to say, it was like, we got 2 matches of the year out of 1.
Yeah. Because he put that what was it? It was tape. He put that tape around him and he was hiding it. Mm-hmm. And so the referee called the match, and then all of a sudden he sees the tape, and it's like, oh, okay, this match is restarting. So
a dusty finish.
So two nasty finishes. But just incredible match from top to bottom. I agree. Definitely a contender for match of the year. Of course, we're only 2 months into the year. But they both looked great. And, like I said, it was probably the best match for either one of them in AEW. No big surprise on the ending.
So, with the ending though, I was going to say, so Wardlow comes out, Wardlow's going to get involved, and he steps to CM Punk while MJF is on the ground. They do the little face-to-face moment, and then Wardlow goes, steps out of the way and basically says, here you go, let him have, kind of going with the story that they've been telling of like Wardlow's probably not thrilled with Punk. And then Punk throws MJF back in the ring, but then Wardlow kind of like steps back to the ropes and is trying to get Punk's attention a little bit, and Punk is just like, what are you doing? Stay away,
Yeah.
Then MJF hits Punk with the Dynamite Diamond Ring.
Yeah.
But really, the amazing thing to me was on the replay where they showed Wardlow passing off the ring to MJF.
Yeah.
They did that so well in the match. Like, we didn't see it, nobody saw it, and and it kind of throws the whole Wardlow's sick of MJF story kind of out the window. And I wonder now if this was a mind game all along.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it was so brilliantly done. I think they did such a good job with that. That handoff was amazing. Just the way that when they revealed it in the replay, I was just like, that's perfect. There's no better way they could have done that.
Yeah.
The match itself was fantastic. Like, they did so much stuff in that match that was storyline wise. They focused on CM Punk's shoulder and arm at first, and then later his leg. Like, basically his entire, what was it, like his left side or right side was basically out of commission in that match.
Yeah, I mean, they both really played to their injuries very well throughout the match. So definitely, I don't know if this match was good enough to a Meltzer to warrant a 5-star, but I immensely enjoyed it.
I don't know. Meltzer likes story-driven stuff like this, though, so I could see him giving it a pretty high score. I don't know how much he takes off for, cheat finishes, but
yeah.
I haven't seen Meltzer's score on it. I don't know how long he takes to judge.
Yeah, I don't
things.
know either.
I'm a sucker more for story than I am for. So I want a super high work rate in a match, but if a story is told, above the work rates, level, then it gets the extra points for me as far as.
Yeah. So, just kind of on that note, so far in 2022, Meltzer has only given 3 matches a 5-star rating.
Yeah, he gave CM Punk versus MJF a 4 1/4 star, which
it's still a pretty good match.
Yeah, that's pretty high. Yeah.
If you're interested, the 3 matches he gave a 5-star to so far are Okada versus Ospreay at Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah.
Cody Rhodes versus Guevara, the ladder match.
Oh, wow.
And another Ospreay match. Will Ospreay versus Michael Ochu.
Yeah.
At Rev Pro.
I heard about that match. It's supposed to be like a really great match. I'm not an Ospreay fan, so I didn't go out of my way to watch it. But
yeah, I mean, I'm going to be straight up. I never watched a Rev Pro like anything.
Yeah.
To be completely honest, I mean, I've heard of it, but I couldn't even tell you what it is. Like, who puts it on?
It's it's a UK promotion.
I was going to say, I think it's British, but I didn't want to stick my foot in my mouth on that one.
Rev Pro has a connection to New Japan. New Japan sends a lot of their young lions there. Great O'Khan wrestled there. Zack Sabre Jr. I think was Rev Pro heavyweight champion at one point. Will Ospreay has been Rev Pro champ. So like they have a working relationship with New Japan.
Will Ospreay is the champion. I'm kind of looking up the current champions of that promotion. Alex Windsor is the women's champion. Looking at these names, I don't know any of these names other than Will Ospreay.
Shota Umino, Yota Tsuji, they're both young lions and they're over there.
Okay. But,
yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So I Okay, so it's a 5-star match. That's cool.
Yeah.
All right, so that brings us to Rampage on Friday. Did you watch the entire event or
No, I watched none of it.
none of it? You didn't even watch the match I told you to watch. Gosh dang it!
What match did you tell me to watch?
Well, I may have not been very specific. I told you that it was worth watching, and that was the main event between Starks and Lethal.
Oh no, yeah, no, I didn't watch it.
But yeah, to be frank, it was really the only match of the night that wasn't mediocre. Now, that being said, okay, so the first match that came out, the match itself was just really mediocre, even despite who was in the match. This is Adam Cole versus Evil Uno. So you would not think that Adam Cole would have a mediocre match, but this was very mediocre.
Well, I was gonna say I would expect Evil Uno to have a mediocre match.
Yes. However, despite the fact that the match was mediocre, Adam Cole dropped a promo after the match in the ring that was really good. I thought it was good. He basically, talking about how he calls his shot. He's like, I'm going to be AEW champion. He basically went on to his thing about how, all of these people he defeated, and you're about to see a new Adam Cole, and I will be champion, kind of thing. But in the Bleacher Report recap of this match, one of the sentences in their recap, I can completely feel 100% is Cole's post-match promo was good, but the match itself was slightly underwhelming. and when they say slightly, I really think they were being generous. It was very underwhelming. I would not expect this from Adam Cole. But it was not a great match. Next match was I could be completely wrong. A lot of people will absolutely disagree with me, and that is fine. Almost equally underwhelming was the TNT Championship match between Sammy Guevara and Isaiah Cassidy. So, I mean, there was a lot of back and forth. You never really knew who was going to win, but the most interesting stuff was going on outside the ring, because you had Matt Hardy, and you had Andrade, and you had what's his name? Who's Andrade's henchman? Whoever that guy is. Whoever that guy is, they were out there,
Jose.
Right. They were out there doing their thing and trying to. Oh no! He was out there too, but I'm thinking of Cassidy's partner, because he was out there too, Quinn.
Mark Quinn. Yeah.
So they were all out there, causing havoc and doing crazy things, and then at the end of the match, Darby Allin comes out. Because the match ends and Guevara wins. He wins with the GTH, and then of course Hardy and Andrade and Quinn and all them come out, and they're about to beat Sammy down, and then Darby Allin comes out and puts a stop to that.
I will say, we haven't really talked about this on the show, but I am loving Andrade calling Darby Allin a little kid. Like all the promos, he's been calling him a little kid. Yeah. It's some of my favorite stuff on this segment that they do every week. I like the idea that he's just he's trying to buy Darby away from Sting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to Darby versus Andrade because that's clearly what's going to happen
Yeah,
out of that story.
That's what they're bringing on, and that's going to be good. That's going to be good.
That'd be a good one.
Next match after that was Thunder Rosa versus Mercedes Martinez. There was a little bit of build up to this, but it doesn't seem like there was enough build up to it. But I'm kind of glad that there wasn't a lot of build up because it didn't satisfy.
Yeah.
Not to say it was a bad match. I would say of the 4 matches that we had on Rampage, it was certainly better performance-wise. It was better than the previous 2 matches. But again, it was just a little underwhelming. I think we talked about this a little bit before we started recording, but I think they did this because they weren't quite ready to give it all away.
Yeah.
Because it ended in a disqualification. Martinez grabbed a lead pipe from out underneath the ring and started pounding on Thunder Rosa and got a quick disqualification. And then after that match, there was a little back and forth between Martinez and Britt Baker. And as it turns out, the story was that Britt Baker had paid, technically Smart Mark paid Martinez, but it was on the behest of Britt Baker to take out Thunder Rosa. And basically the extent of the dialogue was that you weren't supposed to get disqualified. You were supposed to absolutely take her out, and you didn't do that. So we know that this feud has not ended because there's more to come between these two. So as much as this match was underwhelming, I'm actually looking forward to when we get the good match between these two.
I think we'll probably get a rematch with them. We'll probably get the rematch on that Dynamite to kind of set up Thunder Rosa to Britt Baker. I think that's the next big match.
Or maybe at Revolution.
I was gonna say Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker might be the Revolution match.
So. I was gonna think her and Martinez would be at Revolution.
Yeah, I could see them having a rematch on Dynamite. I could see Jamie Hayter having a match with Thunder Rosa, and then they lead that into Revolution. Because Revolution's about a month away now, so we need to start building that card. Because, like, really, if you think about it, like, who's Hangman gonna fight after
Archer?
There's not a lot of time to build. Somebody has to come out after that match.
It depends on whether he wins or not.
I mean, he's gonna win.
Okay. So if he does win, we know who his next big match is because it has more or less been announced for Revolution.
Who would that be?
Well, there's 3 matches that have been announced for Revolution. The first one is the participants is blank, but it's a Face of the Revolution ladder match.
Yeah, they're going to do
a tournament. The second one is Hangman or Lance Archer versus Adam Cole.
Now, they haven't announced that match anywhere.
It's on Wikipedia.
Yeah, but anybody can edit Wikipedia.
That is true. So take that with a grain of salt. I only looked at it because I was like, where are they having Revolution this year? Because I wasn't sure if that was one of them that moved around or not. But that's in Orlando, and I just saw matches on there, and I'm like, oh, they've already announced matches.
They haven't. That's the thing.
You're right. I'm like, yeah, because the third one I haven't heard about either.
Yeah, Sammy Guevara versus Scorpio Sky.
Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, take that with a grain of salt.
Citation needed on those.
Pretty much. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's too soon to go to Cole.
I agree. I completely agree.
I think that needs to be at least a couple months down the line. at the same time, who's it going to be?
I would even go so far as to say that needs to be like a double or nothing thing.
Yeah. Double or nothing or all out or something like that. Yeah.
All out's too far out, too far away.
Yeah.
You're talking almost a year away. I don't think they're going to wait that long.
I don't know. I could see everybody's kind of had almost year-long runs as world champion. Now, I guess it would be.
I guess that's true.
Yeah, I mean Jericho probably has had the shortest run so far. Yeah, because I remember when Jericho lost the title, I was thinking, is it too soon? But it wasn't. That was the right moment to do that.
Yeah,
especially to Moxley.
Let's see. So Jericho had it for. Yeah, he had it the shortest amount of time. He had it for 82 days.
So that's less than a little more than half the year.
Moxley had it for Moxley had it for 277 and won it at Revolution.
Yeah.
Omega had it for 346 days.
Yeah. Now I don't think it'll be an Omega length run, but honestly, if he loses it within the first 150 days, I could see people considering it an underwhelming reign, despite having two incredible Bryan Danielson matches under that time. But I'm hoping that whatever happens at the end of the Lance Archer match is someone coming forward to challenge Hangman.
Yeah,
for Revolution, because there's not a lot of time to build that pay-per-view. But
okay, so our main event on Rampage, at least for me, was match of the night, and it was Ricky Starks versus Jay Lethal for the FTW Championship. Of course, FTW is a non-sanctioned belt, so it was mostly just bragging rights.
Yeah.
If Lethal had won, he did not, by the way. But it was a good match. I particularly like a good Jay Lethal match, and he performed. And it was a really, this was I think this was his first big match with the company. Lethal is who I'm referring to. Big match. He's been on Dark a few times.
Well, what did he have? He had one other big match. What was that though? It was on a. I remember he came out and challenged Cody, right? I'd say his Cody match is probably bigger.
Did he have a Cody match?
Or did he challenge Sammy? I'm completely forgotten. They've kind of
he challenged Sammy for the TNT.
Yeah, so I'd say that match is probably bigger than Ricky Starks.
Really? Well, I mean, in the grand scope of things, but I think
the TNT Championship is a more important thing than the FTW Championship.
You're right. You're probably right.
But yeah, that's.
I don't know. It just seems like this one got more build up. That one just kind of happened.
Well, he just walked out and challenged. I mean, that's how that worked.
Yeah,
he walked out of the pay-per-view and challenged him.
Yeah. But yeah, this was a good match, and Hobbs looked like he wanted to get involved a couple of times. And there was a really fun spot where Lethal was going after Ricky on the outside of the ring, and Hobbs was like right behind him, and he kind of backed up, and then he realized that he had backed up into Hobbs, and he kind of jumped like he was startled, and he looked like he was about to have he looked like he was about to be put out, but Hobbs restrained himself, did not get involved. However, Lethal did try to take out Hobbs once or twice, just to keep him from getting involved. I think I want to say at least once or twice he did it, but I know once he did it, and it kind of blew back in his face. But Dante Martin also got involved in the match toward the end. And that was right before. Let's see. So Dante, that's right. Okay, now I'm starting to remember. So he tried to take out Hobbs with a suicide dive, and Hobbs caught him and just threw him to the ground. So that was, he kind of blew back in his face. And then out of nowhere, Dante Martin comes in and takes him out with a springboard dive. So that kind of got the attention off of Hobbs, and then Lethal got into the ring, and it looked like he was about to win because he hit the you know how he sets himself up for the lethal injection.
Mm-hmm.
So he does it, but then Starks catches him and then takes him out with the what's the name of his move, the Rochambeau, and wins it. So Lethal did not win the championship, but it was a good match to watch, and I enjoyed it. So there you have it. That was Rampage. So like we said earlier, we don't have a top 5 this week, but go check us out on Twitter at Around the Ring OK. And let us know if you have any suggestions for a top 5 that you would like to hear. Whatever you throw out there, we'll do our best to do it.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, there are some promotions out there we don't watch, but we will do our best. And if you don't have any top 5 suggestions, but you do have just some random questions that you'd like us to answer on the air, we'd both be more than happy to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that is it. That's a wrap for this episode of Around the Ring. Hope you enjoyed it, and you'll be back next week. Any closing thoughts?
Nope. Have a great week.
All right.